Hey, Dad. So let me ask you a question. How do you handle silence in the vehicle? Do you put music on? Do you start talking? Do you start singing? What's the silence look like when you're in a vehicle going down the road? Well, now let's add another question: is what is it like when you have kids in the car with you? Hey, by the way, I'm Trapper, a trip with Dad, where every trip becomes a story you will tell for years. And let me tell you something that's cool about that statement is that a lot of my stories that I've had with my boys have come from being in the car ride on the way to the trip. And there's been some funny things. We see some funny things on the side of the road, and it sparks a conversation about something. Maybe we see a deer on the side. One time, I remember we were up in Canada, right? Okay, so this has been a few years ago, 2019. Took my boys to Canada on a fishing trip, a long ways away. That was like a 15-hour drive for us, which is a long ways. And had a blast up there, by the way. I mean, just going up to the resort, and there's a lot more stories that come from that. Matter of fact, one of the videos that's on the gallery page comes from that. And but on the drive, we seen a bear go across the road, and now the boys were not just sitting there completely quiet. They were now looking everywhere for another bear to see because they'd never seen a bear before. So these kind of things happen, and that's the cool part. So the time for the conversation on the drive is really neat. But here is a really important part. There's a lot of kids that don't talk very well eye to eye, and when you're driving, you can keep your eyes straight ahead and have a conversation with someone on your right or behind you, or maybe look in the mirror once in a while and look at them. And when they start talking, here's the neat part, Dad. Just be quiet. Maybe acknowledge them when they ask if you're listening, or acknowledge them if they answer their question. Answer it slowly, answer it quickly. One of the two, depending on what the question is, and just let them talk. Because they may switch topics and switch topics and switch topics, and depending on what age they're at, or else they may not talk much at all. There may be times that silence is a very normal part of your trip. I can remember times when my boys and I are on our way up to northern Minnesota, and for us, that's about an 8-hour drive. I don't mind driving. They don't like riding, I can tell you that. And so I would break up the monotony. We'd stop at some places, the gas stations, and sometimes they'd see something weird in the gas station, or see some weird guy walking on the corner. And I'm not saying there's a whole bunch of weird guys, but we see something we're not used to seeing, and so we start talking about it, and it forms some weird conversation in the truck. Or maybe maybe they ask a question like, "So what's it like up here? What's up here to do besides fishing?" Awesome, glad you asked that question. Now, here's where things can mess up, and I'm just going to tell you from a personal experience. The last thing you want to do is just start throwing out a whole bunch of things if you don't know for sure that's what's there. Today's day and age, one of them can hop on a phone and they can look up the resort, or look up the park, or look up the hotel, or the Airbnb, or the lake, and find out all kinds of information, right? Or you can just sit back and speculate and kind of be more curious about what you're going to find when you get there. So we all know that the experiences that we have on a phone to see what's going on there, it doesn't even compare to the experience you're going to have when you have it in person. And those kind of conversations can happen. So you know what? I think we're going to do some fishing up there. We're going to maybe, I'm not going to do a lot. Whatever you guys want to do. If you want to go get ice cream, we'll go get ice cream. If you want to go to the bait shop and see all the stuff in the bait shop, hey, let's go do that. Or just ask them a simple question like, what do you guys want to do when you get up there? And be ready for the simple answer like this. Oh, I don't know. Not sure what I want to do. How are you going to respond to that? Here's the best way to respond to that. Oh, really? What have you thought about doing? Move that into a different kind of question, and ask them, what have you thought about doing? And what do you think's going to be up there? Oh, I think it's going to be kind of boring, actually. I mean, we're just fishing, right? No, it's not just fishing. This is our trip. This is your trip. I want to do what you guys want to do. Oh, really? And I said, yeah. I mean, the one of the things too that I do when we're driving is I let them control the radio. I know that's scary. You may or may not like the music they like, but it is really neat because you all of a sudden watch one of your boys or your daughters start rapping or singing the songs that's on the radio that they're listening to, but they're listening to this when you're not around or you don't hear it very often. And this is what gets in their head. So you get to find out things. You get to be curious about your kids on the trip and the conversations that will happen. And you may talk, I don't know what you're going to talk about, because that's a neat part, especially on a long trip. If you're on a short trip, like a half hour, it's going to be a different kind of conversation probably than it is on a trip for several hours. But one thing I can ask you to do, and that is just be curious, and instead of if they say something or question something and you feel that anger start to bubble up, like you're boiling inside and you really want to respond, just go, you know what? Instead of going, ooh, why'd they say that? Go, huh, I wonder why they said that. And then say, can you tell me more about that? That will diffuse a lot of tension in the car or the truck. If you ask them to tell you more about what they're feeling, about what they think about something, that will be a huge time that you will spend and a huge time of learning about them. And then, let me tell you about this. This is the coolest part of this whole video that I'm doing right now, is that your kids will know that you heard them. And when your kids know that you have heard what they've said and you count it as important, then they feel that they matter. And it will be a trip like you've never had before when they feel that. And I'm telling you, Dad, I've seen this firsthand multiple times. And the relationships I have with my sons now, I really believe was from taking these trips and having that time in the car to ride along with them.